knows, we will bring the October 24th Recreation Advisory Board meeting to order. And it doesn't appear that we have any public comment. So that is good. I'm going to have us go around. Dave, are you taking minutes or are we just recording?
Joanna will take it off the video.
Oh, perfect. Sounds great. So we're just going to go around and just introduce ourselves and just let everybody know what position you hold and who you are. We'll start with Caroline, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Caroline just got married this past weekend.
Yes. Caroline Neal, Rec Coordinator.
David Tovey, Assistant Director.
Greg Beeson, Director of Parks and Rec.
Daniel Capalbo, new in town, and what do you call that, backup something? Alternate.
But we're happy to have you, Danielle.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bob Dudra, member of the Ex-Rec Committee.
Okay, Stephanie Papakostindes, Chair of Parks and Rec Committee.
Nick Norton, Rec Board Advisory Member.
Jen Harrington, Rec Board Advisory Member also.
Molly Cowan, Select Board Member.
All right, thank you. Do we have the minutes? I did not see
No,
them.
she
go
did
out.
not email them out to us. She apologizes.
So we're gonna go ahead and table those, guys, and then we can approve those the next meeting. And then we can move on. This is gonna be a pretty quick meeting tonight.
Hopefully.
It should be. It should be productive and quick. So why don't we move past minutes until next meeting, and then why don't we do recap? Holiday parade date change.
And we'll fill you in on more. We punted last weekend from Saturday's weather for the Halloween. Yeah, good choice. It was miserable on Saturday. Saturday's supposed to be 75 and sunny, so it should be a good day for downtown trick-or-treating in our parade, and so we're excited about that. And we are still pushing tickets for the murder mystery. We've got plenty of tickets left, so not going to really raise money. It's just going to break even right now, so we need people to buy tickets.
I'll do that tomorrow.
All right. And Caroline, did you want to include anything on Friday's program? Or?
Oh, we have Kids Night Out as
Thank you.
well. So if you're looking for childcare, just want to do a nice date night with your partner.
We will.
We have Kids Night Out for ages 5 to 13. A few of our camp staff members will be hosting it. We'll be showing a movie, playing some games. Costumes are encouraged. Otto has donated pizza for that, so that's really great. So we're very excited about that. And then, for the murder mystery, it's going to be really, really fun. The acting troupe that's coming is awesome.
Did they lock again? Okay.
No, we're glad you're here, Mike.
So it's going to be a really fun night. Cash Bar, Celebrations Catering is catering the event. And it's really wonderful. I can email you all details, but it's going to be a really fun, entertaining, interactive night.
And we are offering a discount now for town and committees and employees, so if they're encouraged, there's $20 off tickets, so we can pack at least town hall.
And what time does it start again?
It's from 7 to 10 p.m. and the Kids Night Out starts at 6:30, so you can drop the kids off starting at 6:30 and then head over.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just reach out to Parks and Rec to get the tickets.
Yes, you can also purchase them on our website as well.
Perfect. Sounds great. All right. If any more discussion on Halloween parades or Friday night, we'll move forward. All right. Let's move on to our discussion items. So field rental usage rates proposal continued. We had the opportunity to talk a little bit last meeting, and everybody had the opportunity to kind of comb through the draft. So I'm going to pass it on over to Greg, Dave, and Caroline to walk us through.
I'm going
Another
to...
copy.
I do.
I think we need 2 more down here.
Let me come right around.
This is the way mine are.
You got one. Yep.
Oh, I was wondering why it seems so condensed. It's double-sided. That makes sense. Upside down, too.
Did it go upside down? No.
okay.
All right.
Having some issues with our computer.
Yeah.
Keep us engaged, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a lot of feedback at our last meeting, and then we did get a couple edits from our last meeting as well that have been implemented in the new draft that you guys should all
Yep.
have in front of you. We also emailed it out the other day. Our rates have been adjusted, but we can always get those again and make more edits before we go to select board on that. There's been added language regarding field maintenance and improvements and how that will not increase a renter's standing, that it's just a donation, it's not any sort of payment. Any maintenance needs to be approved by the Parks and Rec department or director. Some of the formatting has been adjusted, extra security, parking detail if needed. So I did highlight a couple things too. One thing I had thought of after last meeting was under tier 1, because right now tier 1 is just Parks and Rec department. Would we want to include SAU 16 schools or Exeter schools? Not that it happens. I don't think I've seen it happen. Well, once I think it happened before where one of the schools needed to borrow some field space or rent some field space. So I kind of wanted to ask the board what they thought about that. We have a good relationship with the school, so I think it would be a good idea to try and reciprocate that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. We've had them come back and help us out in a pinch in a couple of opportunities that we've needed field space.
Right.
Like this past year.
Yeah.
That was really kind, and I mean, we'll open it up to the board for discussion. I think that would be a really good partnership between the two of us.
Just so the board knows too, like when we use the gym for summer camp rain site or for basketball, they only charge us for their overtime custodian rates. So the way I kind of look at it is like any like extra expenses that we would incur would be passed on to them, sort of the same way.
Okay. I mean, we'd have
It's
to
not
put
that
that
they don't
in
charge
there.
us like a hourly rate or
Okay.
anything like that when school is in session or if someone's in the building.
Do we need to note that under tier 1 when it says town sponsorship programs, and then it says tier 1 will not pay a fee for use of fields, but would pay for any additional, how would we reword that? Would pay for
Okay.
additional fees or additional,
Yeah,
how would we word that? What do you think?
yeah. Caroline had a good suggestion.
Subject to costs
Yeah.
incurred.
Okay.
So are you mostly targeting the middle and the high school, since the elementary schools typically don't have any teams?
That's correct.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it can't hurt to put them in there and continue that positive relationship, reciprocal relationship.
Right. And again, it's really just a what if situation because they don't really, I don't know where they would fall right now if that happens.
Right, because they're not in any of the other tiers currently, right? Yeah, I would agree. Tier 1 sounds good.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you might run into it with overlap, like playoff games and stuff like that, but other than that, I agree. No, that's a good point. Thank you for adding that, Dave.
And at Exeter schools or SAU 16 schools?
Well, the middle school and high school are SEU, so we're only targeting them.
SAU. All right. What other questions did I?
The appeal.
Yeah, so there was discussion on the appeals process, and a few suggested just taking it out. I'm open to that. I wanted to just bring that up again and see if that is what we want to do. To me, this is pretty black and white, so I really don't know like what anyone could really appeal unless unless we're missing someone like the school, for example, but,
What number is that under, Dave?
what is this, 14? It's towards the end. What is
I
it,
might
page
have-
10?
when I printed it off, I only printed off 2 pages, so bear with
So,
me.
yeah, that's something, that was, that,
Steph, it's on the top.
On the top one?
Well,
No, you may not have it.
flip it up. Steph wouldn't flip it.
Yeah, sorry.
Ah, thank you. I'll go far enough.
Everyone could see it.
yeah, probably actually.
Homework.
I wrote them some information.
Bear with us, we're gonna sign in so you can actually,
Well, it may not be necessary. Is it, would it hurt to keep it in there?
I think Mike brought up the point last meeting. Like, what are they really appealing?
Okay.
Yeah, I tend to agree, this is a well-defined policy. I think.
I just didn't know if you keep it in there as like a fail-safe if there is something that nobody
Yeah.
thought of.
Well, we figure, I
That-
think part of the discussion last week, because we agree it was the things, if nobody thought of it, that would be probably somebody would come and have that discussion with Greg. The way that this was worded last time, I think some of the concern was that it just opens up an opportunity for someone to appeal something that they
Right.
don't like just because it says, oh, we can appeal it. Whereas if somebody does have an appeal, you know that people generally are not shy and are going to probably come in and have that discussion, at which point that's making an appeal. But we haven't really opened it up to them to say, because I mean, how many organizations might come and appeal things to us that we're not familiar with or have a good relationship with, or
So if the appeals process was removed and anyone had an issue, I'm assuming you just have a good faith talk with them. And then, let's say over the course of the next year, if there are disputes, it could be added next year if we felt there was enough there that,
yeah,
you know,
that's a good point. Right?
it could be added.
Right here, it's now listed. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
No.
Because, yeah, the real, it comes down to who is actually on the appeal. If it's just me, coming to me, we're making a decision as a department anyway, so it's
Oh,
it's
so it's not actually a
redundancy.
committee, what's,
Yeah. Where we borrowed this from, they actually had people from outside the agency be on their appeals committee, so there was no bias, but
I personally, I still don't think we should have an appeal.
I agree.
It's pretty cut and dry. We've got an appeals process. Somebody would appeal that they didn't get the proper appeal.
Yeah, I would agree. And maybe review next year
Okay.
if appropriate.
yep. Might as well stay there, Dave, if you have.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I will take this out later. This was another, we had talked about, well, I guess it does say except for summer tournament, so I think that we did finalize that.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about rates too, if anyone has any questions. Tournament, we'll get to that, but, how do these rates look to everyone? We did increase them.
it seems like a bargain all the way across. Like a real bargain. But I don't know, I've never rented a field before, but like, I don't know, $25 for an hour and a half just doesn't seem like, I mean, it just does, to me, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but I don't know like what the maintenance and the upkeep of, you know,
And these rates are the ones we discussed. These are increased rates.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
And these are still lower.
I think it's still a lot.
Yeah.
These are increased from what they were.
These are still lower than the surrounding towns as well. So it's not, we're not, going above and beyond. I mean, these are still significantly lower at like a tier 3 level but a good increase, I think. I mean, it is a bargain, you're right, absolutely right.
But this is still revenue positive from last year.
Right.
And Greg, I think you mentioned that last year, almost all the available slots were booked throughout.
Yes. Yep.
So it's not as much of a, if they were cheaper, that it would fill vacant spots. It's already full.
Correct.
So
The only difference, Nick, is it's going to be like the local leagues now on Tier 2 would be paying a slight fee to use the facilities.
Right.
And I can tell you now personally, this is a similar situation that I am experiencing in my personal life because the Timberlane School District is going through this exact same thing. They had so many of the local leagues using their facilities for free. And the school's like, you just wear and tear on our fields. And now it's a debate of charging them a slight fee, but even that is sending shockwaves to them. Like, wait a minute, you're double dipping because we're taxpayers. Well, yes and no. Where here, and then similar to there, you have a lot of everyone's in the SAU, but you don't need to be. There's some people that participate in football and flag and cheerleading there that are not in the SAU, where here we are taking the burden because we're the larger community, and we understand without the other SAUs, towns in the SAU, there would be no leagues per se, because Exeter's not large enough to be a standalone. So this would at least offset some of the cost, and that's where we increased it. 95% of the league renting it needs to be in the SAU. So they can't have like 7 teams that are non-SAU that are using the facility. So we're looking at Exeter-based teams, so.
Okay. Would you say that some of the philosophy is to introduce these gradually as to, because it is a significant increase from before, but also allow for future increases? Because you can't reduce it.
Right.
Obviously, it would probably go up over the years.
Yeah, as maintenance cost goes up, especially as we just were informed that, for instance, the person that lines fields for everyone in the SAU pretty much is retiring. So we will be working with EYSA and Exeter Youth Lacrosse and kind of go in a partnership. We're looking at a tiny mobile robot to line the fields. And instead of taking 4 hours to lay out a full-size soccer field, it takes 15 minutes. And instead of taking an hour and a half, it takes 24 minutes to paint. So, and it does other fancy things. But, so, I mean, those costs have to be incurred by someone. So obviously they would be paying someone. So we're going to pass that on to them. And similar to this, where if we're looking to increase our maintenance and make sure it's the best fields we can, helping some assistance in putting aeration every year, overseeding, especially after soccer season, infield grooming, laser grading. I mean, these are all things that the taxpayers of Exeter can't support solely. So if we want to keep premium facilities, we got to actually get some money back to pay for them.
And you bring up the right word too, premium facilities, because all of us that visit other towns and their facilities, Exeter offers a lot more. We have to look at what we offer as a town as opposed to some of the towns that just have just a soccer field or a baseball field on it and we're paying the same fees. So I think these are really fairly done.
It's going to be a big change, so, I think kind of to your point, Nick, like this gives us room to increase rates, and I don't think renters are going to be too excited about the additional steps here, so not to, make it too difficult, I guess. This is kind of like easing into it.
And Caroline, did you want to readdress how the 3% structure yearly? I think it's fantastic.
So I used to work at Campus Rec.
Grab the mic.
So I used to work at Campus Rec at UNH, and we managed all the fields and facilities there. And one of the things that we did each year was automatically increase the rental rate by 3%. So that was just for, in comparison, the tier 3 and 4, where the tier 1 and 2 we would review every 3 years. to still keep it very affordable for those leagues that really serve everybody. Rather than the elite leagues, we would just, 3% every year. It's quite nice. And we did that on the fiscal year.
And Molly, that's something that we'll probably bring to the board, talking about the overall town facilities again, because it makes sense as costs go up for everything. Not to overcharge, but we need to be able to maintain it, and that's why we're looking into alternative ways to maintain the fields.
My guess would be that these increased fees still the increased costs of supplies and labor.
Well, that's why I brought up, we're looking at autonomous, I said that wrong, robot mowers, because it actually is cheaper per acre to maintain mowing that way than it is to have an actual person.
My question, Caroline, do you sure you want to forecast 3% or kind of hold that in reserve until that year comes? Because I'm thinking, for example, might be a bad example, the water and sewer budgets, one might go up 5%, the sewer, but the water goes up 15%. So I'm thinking, why 3% is your cutoff point?
I think the thought behind it at UNH was that it was affordable enough, so it wasn't sticker shock, so we wouldn't get rid of our renters. But it also kept increasing our revenues so that we could continue to cover maintenance costs, and that 3% was what we did at UNH. I'm not dead set on that, so definitely open to discussion on that. It could be a dollar amount, like $10 every year, $25 every year, which that would be a lot at looking at our rates.
That'd be 100%.
Yeah, 25% increase.
Rates are subject to change.
Exactly. But I think just reviewing it every year and making sure that we have that language in there that, the 2025 rates will be set by X date so that people know, you should expect an increase every year. And we could choose to not increase it one year. If their economy is really bad and we need to, be conscientious about things like that, then we could choose to not increase the rate. Or if we're holy cannoli, we really have a lot to maintain on these fields, then we can up it a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion or ideas or thoughts on rates and increases? All right, Dave, what do you got?
So we talked about tournaments and raising it to $1,000 a day. My question is that for tiers 2, 3, and 4? Is that only tier 4? Do we have separate tournament rates for tiers 2 and 3? I don't know what the going rate is for, say, a tier 2 tournament. I know we defined it as any game or scheduled games that require an additional fee on the families. I'll find it. I know it's in here.
Aren't, sorry, I don't have all of the tiers.
No.
Tier 3 and 4, as I recall, are not non-affiliated leagues.
Correct.
As I recall, I think I would equal tiers 3 and 4 at $1,000 a day, which is still a bargain.
So if tier 3 and 4 had the same fee, what does that say for tier 2 if there is a tournament? Do they get, is that, half or? I think it probably would be appropriate to prorate it based off of, the previous schedule, just so it's somewhat in alignment.
Right.
But I think you're looking at page 4, where you have it defined as any scheduled games that require additional fee to enter competition. So that might need to be edited if we do want to have a prorated fee based on the tier.
My question is, how does this stack up with other facilities in the area or within the state in terms of the rate structure? Do you know or have any idea?
What other
Yeah.
facilities in the state are charging for tournaments?
Yes.
I don't know off the top
Okay.
of my head, no.
And this looks reasonable from, at least I can only speak to the softball end of things. For soccer, I'm not sure, but for softball, this is very reasonable. I mean, the $750 that you were doing for the weekend, I mean, I don't know how we're doing that. I mean, it's $1,000 per day, given the amount of teams that can be housed and how much we charge for tournaments. It's very, very reasonable.
What tier is that softball?
So that would be tier 4 for that would be tier 4 on softball. So that would be $1,000 for the per day for the tournament fees for tier 4. So
Okay.
that's very, very reasonable on that end. Do you know what the baseball rates usually are for tournaments?
I don't. The tournaments I've been involved here have been by our league, and we really don't charge rental fees. That's why I think we stick to the tiers. For example, a tier 2 team, I don't think it should be tied to a definition of if that team pays more. So a 12-year-old all-star in Exeter junior baseball, they have to pay $50, I think, to be on the team. So they are paying more, but they're still a tier 2 team. And I don't think that they should be charged more.
Didn't we discuss
They're
that last
they're
time?
big, yeah. but
About
we did
not
actually.
charging
Yeah.
them extra?
And, you know, they're just charged more to cover the cost of uniforms and umpires.
Yeah.
But it's still yeah, I think tier 3 and 4 is largely for-profit leagues. And I think we should keep it tied to that, so.
So would the math be taking the hourly rate times the expected number of hours for a tournament and then base it off of that? Is that more fair than, because I agree, it probably shouldn't be 1,000 for tier 2.
I think, didn't we have definition of the tier 1 and 2 tournament rates versus tier 3 and 4 tournament rates?
Well, I think we excluded when it comes down to like all-stars, even though you had the tournaments for all-stars. I think that, didn't we waive that as part of?
Is it because they were nominated?
No, it's
Is
because
that-
they're nominated and they don't try out. It's different than teams that try out, you know, in the spring for a fall sport and
Right.
they're cut. Whereas with all-star baseball, or if another team did all-stars and it was a cut from existing teams and that they were nominated and not selected, it wasn't like it was a separate team. They're part of EJBSL already. They're just being pulled. They were nominated rather than trying out and starting their whole season. It's just an extension of the current season.
Well, I think it ties back to the highlighted point of requiring an additional fee up on the screen.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Because in that scenario, Stephanie, the additional fee, yes, that team, the players on that team are paying an additional fee, but they're still on a team that is a tier 2 team in our definition.
So maybe we need to change the wording.
Yeah, because per definition, you're right, it would fall into that.
Or tier 2 is excluded from like a tournament rate, kind of like.
And more of an
Or it's just
hourly?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, would hourly work better for something like that, do you think? Given how they run?
I would think so. I think I'm just missing a piece of paper. I think you guys had this defined well already.
So if the baseball field is $10 an hour $10 for an hour and a half, it probably wouldn't exceed like $50 total, maybe?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That makes total sense.
Is that fair? Do you think, given how,
Yeah, and in our, using the baseball as an example, we don't use the rec fields anyway.
I was just gonna say, what
Right.
does the, each of your reps?
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think that that same thing probably exists in the youth soccer. Or maybe not.
yeah,
Not
we
sure.
we don't pull, like, it's that team goes to championships, not an all-star, but doesn't mean that they might not in the future.
And
but
and
right now they
softball will be the same.
don't. Softball surprisingly doesn't pull an all-star team, which is unfortunate. I wish that they would.
But they may.
But they don't, but they might.
They might.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they might in the future.
I think hourly makes perfect sense.
For tier 2. All right,
Hourly's
we'll do.
better.
Okay.
For tier 2's hourly then?
Yep.
Okay. Any more thoughts on that, guys? Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that, because that's out of our wheelhouse for sure.
Do you have anything else highlighted, Dave?
Let's see.
I think you got everything.
I think I got everything as well.
Looks like you got everything, Dave. This one. Yep, you got everything unless there was anything. Did anybody see anything that jumped out that was not highlighted that they wanted to bring up or discuss further in this?
So I guess the only outstanding thing that we have to do is update the wording on the qualifications for tier 2.
Correct.
Great.
Okay.
That's it?
So do we need to take action as a board with this before the select?
Yes.
We'll need a
we-
motion.
We need an official vote
Yeah.
to move this forward to the select board for their,
So I'll definitely entertain a motion if somebody wants to put the motion into effect and second that.
I would make a motion that we recommend approval of the field use application wording and updated fees
Recommend to allow,
to adopt or to allow the, I'm not sure the wording.
so I think we would, I think it would be recommend
To move this forward to the select board?
this, yeah, recommend the field allocation policy and procedures to be presented to the select board by the Parks and Rec team. By Parks and Rec. Is that a Molly solid fair?
I would recommend adoption. So like recommend adoption of this Exeter field use application by the Rec Advisory Committee.
Thanks for the coaching.
I think we
you.
can say-
I move that the
Look how she sits there quiet until
I
then
move that the Rec
her
Advisory
face says
Board
1,000 words.
supports adoption of an updated Exeter Parks and Recreation field use policy and fees.
I will second what Mike said.
We have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor to recommend adoption of field allocation policies and procedures to the select board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Well, the ayes have it. So we'll be recommending this. Thank you for all the hard work. This was a lot of work on everyone's part. Thank you. I think that we've come up with a really good piece to work with here. Do we need to go through the field use application and all? That looks like it's pretty standard and basic. Everyone's okay with that? How that looks? All right. So, hot dog. That was quickly done. So we're going to move to new business. And I think part of new business we had was update on Planet Playground grant.
Yes, quick update on Planet Playground and brief discussion is the planning board did approve the lot line adjustment for the owners of 8 Hampton Road to sell the town the property that Planet Playground sits on. It is now waiting for official approval of HUD because it is a HUD property. So good news is Senator Shaheen's office is working with the town of Exeter to expedite the process at HUD because sometimes it can get tied up. And Senator Shaheen is writing a letter of support for this renovation of Planet Playground when we apply for the LWCF.
Way to go, Jeannie.
Yep. So in the meantime, we had discussed with the town manager, assistant town manager, about forming a potential subcommittee of this to discuss the layout. I gave you the lot line adjustment to show you what we're dealing with. So obviously there's a rock wall that surrounds Planet Playground on the back sides or the back 2 sides. So talking about, do we want to add other amenities to the site? And how does that look? And also how we get the word out and get the support of the community behind it. Currently, it is slated to be on the warrant article if the select board deem it to go on the warrant article after the sale is approved and blessed by the select board and everything. And then, but obviously, it's still $297,500. So it is a big chunk. It is right now slated to come out of the unassigned fund balance, which would be 0 taxpayer dollars going towards it. So it wouldn't be a tax impact. And that's only hinges on us getting the LWCF grant, the Land and Water Conservation.
So it's about $300,000. That comes out of, is that coming out of the HUD account, or is that coming out of
Sorry, what was that?
the $278,000?
That would be coming out of the town's unassigned fund balance.
Okay.
If the select board deemed to move it forward.
Okay.
Would anyone be willing to sit on a subcommittee to discuss Planet Playground? I mean, we're talking site amenities if possible, a little shade structure, because we could see that being a big draw for people to have birthday parties.
Yeah.
Additional tables and benches, obviously. And do we shift it? Because if we're merging the lot now, we could shift
Yeah, that's what I was trying
the
to.
playground a little towards the tennis courts. But that also means that we are definitely going to have to discuss taking down the large pine trees as they are becoming more and more dangerous. We had a branch almost hit a family sitting on a table.
Okay.
It was just full of pine cones, but it still would have been uncomfortable. So, and I don't think the town wants to invest $600,000 in a playground that a pine tree could fall and topple down and take it out.
Yeah, I think we're more worried about the people.
But we could easily replace the pine trees with some nice deciduous trees that will grow up nice and tall, provide lots of shade in the summertime, and be a little more sturdier.
That'd be great. I'd be interested in sitting on one if that's something that.
I would as well.
So,
Couple questions.
Sure.
What is LWCF?
Land and Water Conservation Fund, established in the 1970s as a way for Washington, D.C. to feel comfortable to allow offshore drilling. So proceeds of offshore drilling needs to go back into outdoor public recreation. It's a big benefit. The U.S. allocates $900 million a year to go into public recreation, and the state of New Hampshire uses it twofold. They support municipal grants up to $500,000. And that's how actually our state park system runs, because our state park system isn't fully funded by our state government. So without LWCF, our beautiful state parks would probably all close. So it's a good way, but it is something, it's been very well supported. All our senators and congressmen support LWCF, and it's not going away anytime soon. So I think it was established again under the Trump administration as a lifetime allocation, but as we have different administrations go, sometimes they try to steer it off and like say, oh, maybe the outdoor recreation doesn't need 900 million, maybe it's 700 million. So it's a good resource, and in New England we use it very much, and the whole entire property is LWCF. So that's how we built it.
So help me out the history. The town does not own the Planet Playground
Not yet.
area. Who owns that?
Next door.
Yeah, there's actually a conglomerate in Manhattan that currently owns it.
Okay.
And having talked to the economic developer, nursing homes are just another tic-tac in their portfolio. So they buy and sell them, and actually they are looking to sell the property again to a different buyer, but they're giving us preference because we got in there first, and so they want to complete this transaction with the town and take off all liabilities to the next person that.
We've been under a long-term lease with them for quite some time, so I think, 30-year long-term lease that we've.
Yeah, it
kind of a
expired 2 years ago.
Right, it's been a termless one.
But who would buy that property? They have no access to it. I'm just thinking, quote, access, it's a pork chop.
Yeah.
That's why we
so-
lucked out.
That's why we lucked out and made an offer.
Okay, so the price that the offer is reasonable, or is it undervalue, or?
Very reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah, very reasonable.
And they technically, Bob, did not need to even sell it to us. They could have said, we don't want to sell it to you. Get that playground off of our property.
They could kick us.
We could put a fence around it, and they
Make a
could
parking lot.
They could put a parking lot back there.
So this is a great
you.
opportunity for
Yep.
us. We've had 2 great opportunities in the last few years hit us there.
Could we combine that with upgrading the facility there? Where they serve the ice cream and everything? Because
That building is rough,
building.
and we got a facility assessment. Molly, did you guys have that presented to you?
Not yet.
Okay. And I can disperse the copies of all the rec facilities once the select board look it over. Yes and no, but remember, we can apply for LWCF every year if we wanted to. So it's just what appetite and where we are in the pecking order. It is going to go in the CIP next year at some point. It does say that building has a life expectancy left about 10 years. I think that's generous.
exactly.
10 minutes is
Because there's been issues with the bathroom, if I recall.
The sewer continues to be an issue.
Yes.
We're gonna,
Just one of them.
yeah. So we're gonna have to look at alternatives, and again, also the tennis courts. I was here and the select board approved. We're painting in 2 weeks, so fingers crossed. But replacing it is going to be costly. And I'm going to actually get a closer up-to-date cost on Timberlane High School is actually putting in a post-tension concrete tennis courts. I think they're 8 they're putting in. So I want to see what the cost is there, because that will give us a little better equation. Only number I had off my top of my head at the select board meeting was Tufts, and they had 16 courts and they were all lit, and it was 1.6 million. So a little different, but hopefully we'll stagger it, and then we can get 50% of the cost, because LWCF and the state of New Hampshire really want to start investing back into LWCF properties to make sure they're maintained well as ADA accessible. So the funding's there. We just have to make sure it fits in the budget cycle.
So, so step 1 in this is the lot consolidation?
Yep.
The lot line adjustment, and that's what HUD needs to approve?
Yeah, and then that way, then we can go back to the select board like, okay, HUD's approved it. They discuss it and then sign the purchase and sales, and then we move on. And The deadline for LWCF is December 15th, so the time is a ticking. So that's why we've been poking the health network to
We've
get
already
moving.
put in, right, we're just waiting for the response.
Yes.
Everything is
Yep,
solidified,
we're-
okay.
We're just waiting, so.
You said December
We can't get the select board blessing to purchase it until HUD approves it.
Okay, and December 15th, you said?
It was LWCF deadline.
Deadline, okay.
Which I've been already, the application is 90% done. It's just, seeing that we applied for it several years in a row and had to pull out because of this conundrum of not owning the property. But as long as we have a signed purchase and sales, that's all that goes in, and then we would actually know if it was funded through LWCF by deliberative session.
That's great.
So that could be edited in the warrant article that Exeter will receive X amount of dollars to offset said cost of playing a playground. And hopefully, we'd also talk at doing a capital campaign to help with the site amenities as well, because that cost of shy under 600,000 is just for the demolition, playground, fencing, surfacing, which, again, we are already ahead of the curve. The bill passed this past year in the New Hampshire House that anything built after January 1st needs to have resilient surfacing for ADA accessibility. So either it's poured in place rubber, or we can do the mats that we have at Park Street Common.
Lincoln Street just finished their poured in place rubber, if you want to check it out.
Who did?
Lincoln Street School.
Yeah.
It opens tomorrow. Looks like you could check it out.
Yep.
So that HUD approval to combine the parcels, then the combined parcels would be 290 grand to buy,
No.
or,
Much lower than that.
okay.
Much lower than
What was
that.
the 290?
That's the cost of building the playground. 297,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which
Oh,
really
I
isn't that.
see why you were, okay. Bob was thinking that that was the cost of the parcel of land.
Oh, no,
Yes.
no.
No, significantly
Yeah, so was
lower
I.
than that.
Yeah.
So was I.
Significant.
I didn't realize that we had a cost for the playground.
Yeah,
Right.
significantly.
Yeah, significantly lower than that. It was very
That's
reasonable.
great.
Yes.
So we should all email Jean Shaheen.
Do it now.
And thank her.
Right
Yeah.
this second.
As long as HUD can expedite it.
Yeah. Did we get the match on that, on this? Did we get the grant match on this?
That's what we're applying for in December.
Okay, so we can't, okay, so after the 15th, by the 15th, we have to have that, okay, gotcha. So in that case, then we would have like
The full amount, the full amount. Of-
essentially,
yeah.
okay.
And then the award actually doesn't come in until the fall of 2024,
Okay,
after the Executive Council approves allocations, because it's a federal grant. And Davis-Bacon and does not apply, but Build Back a Better America does. So the vendor that we had picked, Miracle, last year, needs to there's a piece of paper they sign off that they have done their best to source all materials from the U.S. building, and all of their playgrounds are built here in the U.S. anyways, so.
so would this be going under the 2024 warrant as a 2024 warrant article,
Yep.
or 2025, or 2024?
2024.
So that- okay.
The state needs to know that we are moving forward with it before they award it. They don't want to award something and then
Yeah.
have it sit.
Yep.
And then we have up to 3 years to complete it, but it's going to go quick when we do it.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the subcommittee's going to advise on surrounding amenities, you mentioned?
Yeah, if we want to shift it, different trees, different amenities, so we're going to look for, and then also getting behind and discussing a possible capital campaign to offset that 297.5 as well, so, as well as supplement the amenities. If we build a pavilion, obviously we're going to need $50,000. If not less, depending on what size pavilion. If we want to have more benches or more picnic tables, but that also could be a part that we get the community behind us and get people to volunteer that would be willing to help build benches and picnic tables.
So Greg, I'm a really visual person, so on this, I'm picturing it, I'm standing at Hampton Road right here. This parcel is now, in addition, that's the consolidation, we're looking to consolidate with the current Planet Playground, correct? And where does the
So, all right.
senior home, the
Nope.
nursing home sit?
That big parcel, that is 8 Hampton Road where the senior citizen home is.
Okay, so that's the parking lot there and
Yeah.
everything, okay, so
And
this
the par-
doesn't, this
Yeah.
wouldn't be ours.
This little thing would be ours. That actually in front, this little one,
Yeah.
that is 6 Hampton Road, which is the hospital.
Yellow house?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so we would be picking up this section in here that wasn't currently
Yep.
assessed on there. So we'd still have some room to do like an overhang or some over in this area.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Thank you. All right. What other updates do you have for us, Greg, or what other discussions or questions do we have on this? We're going to be discussing this to death as the years come in a good way. It's a good project to come, so any particulars we can hold off.
No.
I have a question. Where do we stand on the building we bought? Was it 8 Hampton Road or 10?
10.
Where do we start? Are you ready to move in? What's the status?
Good question, Bob. We actually had all of our engineers go through the building last week. So JSA, our design, has gone through and got the existing conditions. They're mapping it out. We had fire suppression, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural all go through. They should have a preliminary design to us that we're going to sit down with them and tweak. Some of the things that have popped out on this initial walkthrough is the big room in the back that is slanted. There might need to be one whole side of the back side of the roof might need to be blown out and made a dormer to meet the ADA requirement of 6'8", because you can't get that now. There's a couple other things that they
Adjusting some of the hallways.
shifting the hallways, maybe shrinking the kitchen a little bit, because again, that overhang, unless we take the stairway out. And then we also had the hazardous material inspection done. They did pick up lead paint in quite a few places in the older part, which is not a surprise. It's built in 1890. So that will need to be mitigated when we go to renovate, depending on what we're doing. We can cover it sometimes. So, but they also picked up slight asbestos around the caulking for the bulkheads. Again, that wasn't a big deal, but it was more the lead paint. So, might change our plans on what our actual crew can demo, because you need to be licensed, as in the report they stated. So, so hopefully we have a design completed and put it out to bid by the end of November to start soon in February. But once we can do some demolition ourselves, which will start the clock, so we're not in a rush. But there are several construction companies that have reached out to us and continue to reach out to see the status of the project, because they all want to bid on it.
Yeah, it's looking to be in the spring.
Hopefully depending on the scope of the work, hopefully by the end of the spring, early summer to get in there.
So this is really interesting. What is the intended use cases for the building?
Programming, mostly. The front of the building would be our senior lounge, so it would be a quasi place that people could come and hang out. We're going to do lots of senior programming, multi-generational programming. A quick rain site if the downpours and it's passing showers, to stick the summer camp in there rather than the bathhouse. And then eventually expand and put a field house or a basketball court on it. But I mean, there's a lot of programming. There's a few people I've actually already reached out to us that are interested in coming and do programming for us, and we're open to any instructors, because obviously there's only 3 of us, 2 that do most of the programming, and we don't have enough time in our day, so we are always looking for instructors. Like David started a senior arts class that's been going well. Caroline is always coming up with new ideas as well. So, I mean, the possibilities are endless. We do have some tenants that would come with us. Families First offers a free play group for low to moderate income families to bring their little ones and have some integration, so they'll come with us. But we're nothing set in stone. We're really whatever we have and can do for programming, we'll do.
Won't you, oh, go ahead.
No.
Are you planning to move out of your existing and then move everybody over to that facility? Would that be the idea?
That's the intent. Yep.
And you mentioned basketball court. You talking indoor?
Indoor.
Okay.
Plenty of room on the back. We've had it assessed
Yeah.
already, so there's plenty of room on the back of the building to be able to do one back there.
Okay, I would think the YMCA has the basketball court. I don't know if personally, if that would be a good use of the facility, but.
Well, but we differentiate too, because we work together, and we definitely work together and complement each other. We're definitely different.
It'd be more of a multi-use
Yep.
with basketball hoops, something
And
that.
for all of our youth programming too, like all of our youth basketball leagues, like we have to rent space through the SAU 16. So just having additional places for kids to practice, maybe having pickleball in the winter.
And if you've ever seen Main Street School, it's not really a
Yeah.
conducive basketball court.
Especially
So,
when gymnastics is in session.
yeah. And then of course, like a larger space, and the space we just saw in Portsmouth today, they hold their senior luncheons there. I mean,
Town events could be held inside there.
A good multi-use
Yeah.
facility. Now, I just think basketball court, that's it, but
it
no.
would even have a wood floor.
Right.
It would be one of those soft courts that you can walk on and not kill your knees. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right. Anything else on the building? I wanted to bring up one thing under new business. Just this morning, I teach over at the Y, and we were talking about doing more community-based activities, and especially with the holidays coming up. And I wanted to find out from this board, but especially where you guys would kind of be the receivers or spearheaders or something like this. I'd really like to do something similar, or talk about doing something similar to filling the school bus, but maybe not using a school bus or something, maybe partnering with, I don't know, maybe with the fire department or something that could provide us with an old, ambulance or something that we could do a holiday, stuff a truck kind of thing where people can bring, gifts for kids of certain ages, or a giving tree or something like that for the community, because I know there are still a great deal of community members that are still struggling. And it would just be a really nice opportunity for us to be able to give back. I just want to kind of throw that out there. Not something we have to discuss right now, but I did want to put it out there because I think that the time is definitely coming.
Couldn't we publicize what the fire department already does with their toy drive?
Do they do like the Toys for Tots
Yeah.
type of thing? We
Yeah.
certainly could. I mean, we could talk about
They have it
collaborating
at
with
the
them
fire
and really
station.
getting it out there.
I could tell you from being, if you go into our basement, there are thousands of toys.
Okay.
They do very well. But yeah, I think promoting them as well would help, because
Yeah.
we see thousands come and thousands go.
Good.
So the fire department does do a very good job, and
Okay.
they have a whole committee on the firefighters that do
Oh, nice.
this.
Schools also do giving trees.
Giving
Yeah.
tree.
Love
Lincoln
that.
and Maine,
It
and I
could
assume
be
at the higher.
a great way to raise money for youth program scholarships
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
We have seen an increase in need for that, so it could be really great. I know for summer camp we had like 6 kids on the wait list, so that was
Yeah.
awful. But
We were
again,
talking
that's
about
like
that.
$7,000. So
But let's not forget the seniors as well.
yep,
Right.
We met with an organization here in town that wants to sponsor more senior citizen programming, because they know some seniors can't afford
Right.
our trips
Yeah.
and our programs.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's definitely been a giving back where the teams that I coach, I've got them all doing something right now for give back. just making sure that they're making cards for the troops or, doing the tree for the, Festival of Trees and things like that. So I'd love as a committee for us to be able to help out too. And that's all I got. Anything else, guys? Any old business?
Buy your tickets for the murder mystery.
All right.
And we are looking for volunteers for the Halloween parade on Saturday, if you're around.
What time is it at?
10:30.
I got a game.
It's fun.
I know.
For what? Costume judging?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can count me in. No Haley though.
Me and you.
You want to do it?
Want Ryan to come up for the day and join you.
I know I should, but they're at college.
I know.
Bring your husband.
He did come down last year.
Maybe.
He hung out.
Did he come down?
Yeah.
Oh, he did come down.
Yep.
Okay. So when does it kick off? When does the judging start, Greg?
10:30.
10:30.
Yeah.
With it kicking off at
A little
11.
bit earlier
Yep.
than that. Okay.
And we have a new parade route.
Okay.
And the detail officers are all set.
Got it.
All right, guys. I will definitely entertain a motion to adjourn with an hour and 1 minute.
I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Meeting adjourned.
TV is
Thank you,
the town's
guys.
public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.